I'm 17, my GPA is 2.8, I have zero extracurriculars and zero plans for the future, and I just bought a knife at a flea market for 3,001. In about an hour, I'll be fighting a dead person. My Saturday went off script. My name is Yoon Ha-jin, second year, Seongjin High School, Seoul. If you've seen a class photo from my school, I'm the guy you can't quite point out, not the tall one, not the short one, not the one making a face. The one your eyes skip over. Perfectly, comprehensively average. My mother is a night shift nurse at Severance Hospital who leaves dinner in the rice cooker and notes on the fridge. My father is a topic we don't discuss because there's nothing to discuss. He left. The end. Saturday afternoon. Yeonam-dong Flea Market, the one under the overpass where people sell everything from vintage records to broken electronics to things that might be art or might be garbage depending on how much coffee you've had. I'm here because Do-yeon bailed on our PC bang plans, and boredom is a force that moves 17-year-olds to strange places. Most stalls are the usual clothes, phone cases, someone's grandmother's dishes. But there's one at the far end, tucked against the overpass pillar, that's different. An old woman behind a folding table covered in objects that don't belong together, a brass compass with no needle, a wooden mask with 3 eyes, a stack of paper talismans yellowed with age, and a small knife. The knife is what stops me, not because it's impressive, it's the opposite. Small, maybe 15 centimeters, wooden handle darkened with age, blade dull and unpolished. A carved seal on the base of the handle, Chinese characters I can't read, pressed deep into the wood by someone who meant it. Something about it pulls, not magnetically, not a force, a feeling. Like recognizing a song you've never heard or turning a corner and knowing what's on the other side before you see it. The knife is waiting for something, and the something might be me. I reach for it. The moment my fingers touch the handle, a shock runs through my palm. Not painful, more like static electricity's angry older brother. The world goes gray for one heartbeat, colors drain, sounds muffle, the market crowd freezes mid-step, then everything snaps back. Color, noise, motion. Normal, except the old woman is looking at me, not surprised, not concerned, looking at me the way you look at a package you've been expecting. 3,000, she says. I should ask questions. I should put the knife down, walk away, and go to the PC bang alone like a normal person on a normal Saturday. But the feeling hasn't stopped. The knife in my hand feels correct in a way nothing in my life has felt correct before. And I'm 17 and bored, and 3,001 is nothing. I pay. She takes the bills without counting them. I put the knife in my backpack and walk home. Our apartment is small, 2 rooms, a kitchen, a bathroom that floods if you breathe on the pipes wrong. Mom won't be home until midnight. Leftover rice in the cooker, kimchi in the fridge, a note, eat properly. Don't stay up too late. Mom, I eat. I do homework badly. I watch half a YouTube video about someone restoring old tools, which reminds me of the knife, which makes me take it out of my backpack and set it on my desk. The room is dim. Evening light through the window, the lamp off. And in the dimness, the knife glows. Faintly barely visible, a pale blue shimmer along the blade's edge, like light reflected off water that isn't there. Then the window appears. Not a real window, a blue translucent rectangle floating in the air in front of my face, text rendered in clean white characters, Reaper's Ledger activated owner, Yoon Ha-jin ghosts, exercised, 0/100, deadline, exercise 1 ghost within 7 days, failure to meet deadline equals death of owner weapon, Reaper's knife Jido method, weaken ghost in combat arrow, strike forehead with blunt side of blade. I read it again, read the line about death 3 more times. Then I check if I'm dreaming by slamming my hand on the desk. Pain confirms reality. The blue window doesn't care about my confirmation process. It floats there, patient, indifferent, waiting for me to accept that my Saturday has fundamentally changed categories. I try closing it. It minimizes to a small icon in the corner of my vision, always there, like a notification I can't swipe away. I try touching the knife again, same faint glow, same feeling of correctness. I try putting it in a drawer, closing the drawer, and leaving the room. The blue icon pulses once, a reminder. 7 days, 1 ghost, or I die. I don't know what a ghost looks like. I don't know where to find one. I don't know how to fight anything. My combat experience consists of losing an arm wrestling match to Do-hyun last month and being average at PE. The answer comes to me because apparently the universe has stopped waiting for me to be ready. 11 p.m. I'm walking home from the convenience store late-night ice cream because existential crises require dairy products. The street is quiet, residential, the kind of neighborhood where nothing happens after 10 p.m. except cats arguing over territory. The intersection ahead is empty. Then it isn't. A figure stands under the streetlight, human-shaped, human-sized, but wrong. Translucent, like looking at a person through frosted glass. The features are smeared. I can see where the face should be, but it's blurred, distorted, the mouth stretched open in a scream that doesn't produce sound. It flickers, like bad signal on an old TV. Nobody else on the street reacts. A delivery driver passes through the intersection 20 meters away, looks straight through the figure, keeps going. An old man walking his dog crosses the same space. The dog whimpers and pulls sideways, but the man doesn't notice anything. Only I can see it, because of the knife, because of the system, because I touched a 3001 purchase on a folding table under an overpass and accidentally signed up for something I can't return. The ghost turns toward me, not slowly snapping, like a video skipping frames. One moment it faces away, the next, the smeared face is pointed directly at me, the open mouth wider now, the whole form vibrating with something that isn't life but isn't quite death either. It charges. Fast, faster than a person should move, that sliding wrong speed motion that doesn't match how legs are supposed to work. It crosses 30 meters in maybe 2 seconds, and I have just enough time to drop the ice cream and pull the knife from my backpack before it hits me. The impact is physical, real. A cold fist of force slams into my chest and throws me backward into a parked car. The alarm goes off. Pain sharp, immediate, the kind that confirms this is not a hallucination because hallucinations don't crack ribs. The ghost comes again. I scramble sideways, back against the car, holding the knife in front of me with the conviction of a man holding an umbrella in a hurricane. It swings. I duck instinct, not skill. The blow hits the car roof and dents it. Metal dents from a thing nobody else can see. I slash the knife outward. Desperation, not technique. The blade passes through the ghost's arm. It recoils. The limb flickers where the knife cut, destabilized, thinning, like smoke disturbed by a hand. The ghost staggers back, looking at its own damaged arm. The knife can hurt them. The blade can touch what shouldn't be touchable. This changes the math from definitely dying to possibly surviving if I stop panicking long enough to think. I stop panicking. Mostly. Enough. The ghost is aggressive but simple. It charges straight, swings wide, telegraphs every attack like a drunk in a bar fight. The problem isn't its skill, it's its speed and the fact that every hit feels like being punched by winter itself. 2 more exchanges. I take a hit to the shoulder that goes numb instantly. I land a cut across its torso, the blade parts the ghost's form like tissue paper, and it screams for the first time. Not audible to anyone but me. Inside my head, a sound like glass breaking in reverse. The ghost drops to its knees, weakened. The smeared face is clearer now. I can see features. A man, maybe 40, expression not angry but confused, lost. Whatever this person was in life, death twisted them into something that attacks because it doesn't know what else to do. The system instructions pulse in my peripheral vision. Strike forehead with blunt side of blade. I flip the knife. Handle forward, blade back, the flat blunt edge of the spine facing out. Step forward. The ghost looks up at me with that blurred, broken face. I bring the blunt side down on its forehead. Light. Not the pale glow of the knife, a flash, white and brief, like a camera going off inside my skull. The ghost's form ripples outward from the point of contact, expanding, thinning, dissolving into motes of light that drift upward and vanish before they reach the street light above. Gone. The intersection is empty. The car alarm is still blaring. My shoulder is numb, my chest aches, and there's a dent in a stranger's Hyundai that I cannot explain to insurance or anyone else. The system updates. Ghosts exercised. 1/100 physical enhancement, +1. Next deadline, 6 days, 23 hours, physical enhancement, +1. I feel it subtle, like a muscle relaxing that I didn't know was tense. Slightly stronger, slightly faster, not superhuman, not even notably above average. Just 1 tick better than I was 5 minutes ago. 99 to go. I sit on the curb next to the dented Hyundai, hands shaking, knife resting across my knees, ice cream melting on the asphalt 3 meters away. A 17-year-old in a school jacket who just beat up an invisible dead person with a flea market knife. This is my life now. A voice speaks from my right. Close. Familiar. Familiar in a way that makes my heart stop because I know who it belongs to, and she's been dead for 2 years. Well, for a first time, not bad. But you fight like a sack of potatoes. I turn my head. Minji, Seo Minji. Standing on the sidewalk, translucent but clear, not smeared, not broken, not like the ghost I just exorcised. She looks exactly like the last time I saw her alive, same short haircut, same school uniform she always wore even on weekends because she said it saved decision-making energy, same expression of fond irritation that she reserved specifically for me. She's been dead for 2 years. Car accident, rainy night, wrong intersection. I went to the funeral. I carried the photo frame. I stopped walking past her house because the empty window hurt too much. And she's standing next to me, arms crossed, critiquing my combat form. Minji! Hi, Hajin! She looks at the dented car, the melting ice cream, the knife on my knees. We need to talk. Minji tells me 3 things on the sidewalk next to the dented Hyundai. 1. She died 2 years ago. Car accident, rainy night, as I know, but she didn't leave. Something in this world she doesn't know what holds certain ghosts here, prevents them from moving on. She's not angry, not twisted, not like the thing I just exorcised. She's just stuck. 2. She can see other ghosts. Has been seeing them for 2 years wandering the city, invisible to everyone, watching the living go about their business while the dead pile up in corners and alleys and forgotten rooms? Most are harmless, some aren't. The ones that aren't are the ones the system wants me to hunt. 3. She can feel them. Direction, distance, intensity, like a compass that points toward the wrong kind of dead. She's been navigating around hostile ghosts for 2 years, the way you'd navigate around bad neighborhoods knowing where not to go. Now, with me, she can point me where to go instead. So, you're my ghost radar, I say. I'm your dead best friend who's saving your life. Ghost radar is reductive and insulting. Ghost GPS? I will haunt you in ways the system can't protect against. Minji hasn't changed. 2 years of death and she's still the girl who corrected my homework with a red pen she stole from the teacher's desk. Sarcastic, precise, and absolutely certain she's the smartest person in any room, including rooms she's not technically alive to be in. We establish a rhythm. Evenings, Minji scouts. She ranges through the neighborhood Mapogu, then wider into Yongsan, Sodemun, wherever the pull is strongest, and returns with directions. 3 blocks north, in the alley behind the chicken place, 1 ghost. Week. Recently dead. Nights. I hunt. Knife in my backpack. Hood up, looking like every other teenager walking home late except for the part where I stop in dark alleys and fight invisible dead people. Ghost number 2. A man in his 50s died of exposure under a bridge last winter. His ghost haunts the same bridge, attacking anyone who sleeps there. The homeless people who use the bridge have been avoiding it for months, they don't know why, just that something about it feels wrong. They're right, the fight is easier. Not easy, the ghost is fast and angry and cold radiates from it like a freezer door left open, but I'm stronger now. +1 from the first exorcism doesn't sound like much, but it's the difference between barely dodging and actually dodging, between getting knocked down and staying on my feet. 3 minutes. Knife cuts weaken it. Blunt side to the forehead. Flash. Gone. Ghost 2/100. Physical enhancement +2 Ghost 3. A high school student my age died in a fight outside a nori bank 6 months ago. He doesn't look angry, he looks confused, replaying the last moments of a life that ended over something stupid. He's still wearing his school uniform. Different school, different district, same age as me. I exercise him and feel sick afterward. Minji doesn't comment. She knows. Ghost 4, an old woman in a hospital parking lot, died waiting for a son who never came. She screams constantly, a sound only I can hear, piercing and raw. The fight isn't hard, the sound is. Ghost 5. Something that used to be a construction worker, killed in a collapse, barely human-shaped anymore, stronger than the others. I take a hit to the ribs that sends me into a wall hard enough to crack the plaster. My ribs don't break, last week they would've. +4 physical enhancement means my body absorbs impacts it shouldn't survive. I'm not superhuman yet, but I'm not normal either. The system marks each exorcism with the same mechanical indifference. Counter goes up, enhancement ticks forward, new deadline starts. 7 days per ghost. Miss 1 and I die. The rhythm is non-negotiable. School becomes collateral damage. Monday, I fall asleep in history class. The teacher calls my name 3 times before Doyun kicks my chair. Tuesday, I arrive with a bruise across my jaw from ghost number 4's backhand. The teacher asks if I'm being bullied. I say I walked into a door. Nobody believes me, but nobody cares enough to investigate. Wednesday, I missed the English test, entirely spent the previous night chasing a ghost through the Hongdae Bar district, which involved climbing a fire escape, falling off a fire escape, and explaining to a concerned drunk couple why a teenager was lying in an alley at 2 a.m. covered in scratches that appeared to come from nothing. Thursday, I show up on time, clean, no bruises. Dohyun stares at me like I've grown a second head. Kwon Dohyun. My best living friend, which is a distinction I now have to make because my best dead friend follows me everywhere. Dohyun is loud where I'm quiet, confident where I'm invisible, the kind of person who fills rooms with energy just by entering them. He's also the only person at school who's noticed that something is fundamentally wrong with me. You're fighting, he says at lunch, pointing a chopstick at the fading bruise on my jaw. Every day. With who? You couldn't open a ketchup bottle last month. I joined a gym. You hate gyms. You said, and I'm quoting, organized exercise is a conspiracy to make people pay for suffering they could experience for free. I changed my mind. In a week? I shrug. He watches me eat with the specific frustration of someone who knows he's being lied to but can't prove it. Dohyun is many things: loud, impulsive, occasionally obnoxious, but he's not stupid. He sees the bruises appearing and healing faster than they should. He sees the weight I'm gaining muscle, not fat, filling out a frame that was soft a month ago. He sees me move differently, faster reactions in PE, catching a basketball I would have dropped a week ago, dodging a door that swung toward my face with a reflex that made the teacher blink. He doesn't push. Not because he doesn't care, because he cares enough to wait for me to be ready. I'm not ready. Minji watches these conversations from whatever perch she's claimed the desk behind me. the windowsill, the hallway ceiling because she discovered early on that floating is an option and has been using it to be dramatic. She's invisible to everyone, inaudible to everyone, present only to me. She's a good partner, better than I deserve. She finds ghosts I wouldn't locate on my own. Her sense for them is precise, directional, scaled by intensity. Small one, 2 streets east, not urgent versus something big in Itaewon, move tonight or lose the window. She coaches me through fights not from experience, since she's never fought anything, but from observation. 2 years of watching ghosts move has given her a library of their patterns. You swing like a grandma with a slipper, shorter arc, tighter. The knife is 15 centimeters, not a baseball bat. I'm trying. Try more successfully. That's not advice, it's motivation. Different thing, but every time I take a hit, every impact, every moment I'm on the ground, her face changes. The sarcasm drops away, and what's underneath is fear. Raw, undisguised fear that I'll die here, in an alley, fighting something invisible, and she'll have to watch it happen without being able to touch me or help me or do anything except scream directions at a corpse. She already lost me once, lost the world of the living, lost the ability to touch or taste or feel warmth. Watching me risk the same every night cost her something she doesn't let me see, but I see it anyway, because I've known her since we were 6 years old, and some things survive death. Ghosts 6 through 9 happen in rapid sequence, a productive week where Minji identifies a cluster of weak ghosts in the Yeongdeungpo district, and I clear 4 in 3 nights. Each fight adds +1, and the cumulative effect is becoming visible. My arms are thicker, my reflexes are faster than any 17-year-old should be. I can sprint at full speed for 10 minutes without breathing hard. Do-hyun corners me after PE on Friday. Okay, I timed you on the track today. You ran 100 meters in 11.2 seconds. Last semester, you ran it in 14.8. That's not a gym. That's not possible. Good genes? Your genes. Your mom is 5'2", and your dad, wherever he is, left you with the athletic ability of a concerned houseplant. Something is happening and you won't tell me, Do-hyun. I promise you when I can explain, I will. Right now, I can't. He looks at me for a long time. Then he nods. Once, fine. But if you're in trouble, real trouble, you tell me. I don't care if it's weird. Weird I can handle. Deal. He bumps my shoulder, a gesture that would have knocked me sideways a month ago and now barely shifts my weight. He notices. Chooses not to comment. Ghost 10 happens on a Wednesday evening, on the roof of a parking garage in Sinchon. A ghost that died in a fall from the same building, not an accident, the system's data suggests, though the system doesn't editorialize. Minji found this one with reluctance. It's sad, she said. Not angry sad, just sad. The ghost doesn't fight hard. It falls, literally falls, replaying its own death, dropping off the roof edge and reappearing at the top to fall again. A loop of the worst moment, endlessly repeated. I wait for it to manifest at the top, cut once to disrupt the cycle, and tap the blunt side against its forehead as gently as I can manage while still meeting the system's requirements. It doesn't dissolve with the usual flash. It fades, slowly, like a photograph left in sunlight. The face becomes clear for a moment, young, tired, relieved, then gone. 10/100. I sit on the roof afterward. Minji sits beside me, legs dangling over the edge that killed the ghost we just freed. The city spreads below lights, traffic, 10 million people who don't know that dead things walk among them, and a 17-year-old is the only janitor on shift. I unwrap a kimbap from the convenience store. Eat. Minji watches. Do you miss food? I ask. I miss everything. She looks at the city the way you'd look at a painting of a place you used to live. The smell of rain. Warmth, actual warmth, not memory of it. The sound of your shoes on wet pavement. She glances at me, the way you confused math with Korean on your exams. That was 1 time. 4 times. I counted. You counted my exam mix-ups? I sat behind you for 6 years. What else was I supposed to do? Pay attention to the teacher? I eat. She watches. Below us, a bus passes with its lights on, carrying people home. Minji, Why can't you leave? The other ghosts, the angry ones, they're stuck because they're twisted, broken. But you're not. You're just you. Why are you still here? She's quiet for a long time. The wind moves through her hair or through where her hair would be, the visual of wind without the physics of it. I don't know, she says. Something holds me. It's not anger. It's not unfinished business. I was 17. Everything was unfinished. It's more like a weight. Something in this city, pulling me down, keeping me anchored. The same thing making the other ghosts angry? Maybe. They feel connected. All the hostile ones, they have the same. Smell isn't the right word. Flavor? Frequency? They vibrate at the same pitch, like they're all tuned to the same source. What source? I don't know yet. But it's old, and it's close. She doesn't say more. I don't push. Some answers come when they're ready, not when you demand them. The kimbap is gone. The The city hums below. A ghost and a ghost hunter sit on a rooftop and pretend, for one evening, that this is normal. Tomorrow, there'll be another ghost. And another deadline. And another fight in another alley with another set of bruises I'll have to explain to a teacher who doesn't believe me, and a friend who believes me too much. But tonight, the kimbap was decent, the view is good, and the dead girl next to me is making fun of my exam scores from 6 years ago. And that's close enough to okay that I'll take it. 10 down, 90 to go. The source Minji mentioned the thing that connects all the hostile ghosts hums somewhere beneath the city. I can't hear it yet, but I'm getting stronger with every exorcism, and Minji's compass is pointing me closer with every hunt. Whatever it is, it's waiting. So am I. Part 3. Monsters Ghost. Number 15 teaches me what fear actually is. Not the jittery nervousness of the first fight or the managed adrenaline of Ghosts 3 through 12. Real fear, the kind that locks your joints and fills your throat with something thicker than air. Minji finds it in an industrial area near Guro, abandoned warehouses, broken fencing, the kind of place that's dead even before actual dead things show up. She comes back from scouting with an expression I haven't seen before. This one is different, she says. It doesn't feel like the others. The others feel like static. This one feels like a hole. I go anyway because the deadline counter says 4 days and I need number 15 before it hits 0. The ghost is waiting in a loading dock, and it is not human. It was human once, I can tell, because there's a face somewhere in the mass of warped limbs and distorted flesh stretched into a permanent snarl that has nothing to do with expression and everything to do with what decades of rage do to a dead thing's shape. 4 legs, none the right length, each ending in something between a hand and a claw, a torso swollen and hunched, the size of a bear, moving with the lurching wrongness of a body reassembled by hatred rather than anatomy, distorted. The system classifies it that way in a small tooltip I barely have time to read before it charges. The first hit sends me through a sheet metal wall. Not into it. Through it. I leave a Hodgin-shaped hole in corrugated steel and land on concrete 5 meters beyond, sliding, ribs screaming, the knife jarred loose from my grip and clattering away across the floor. The thing comes through the wall after me. The metal tears like paper around its mass. It doesn't run, it lurches, each step cracking concrete, the face that was a face fixed on me with an intensity that has no intelligence behind it, only momentum and malice. I scramble for the knife. My right arm isn't working properly. Something in the shoulder shifted on impact, not dislocated, but close. I grab the knife left-handed, slash at the thing as it closes. The blade cuts. A wound opens across one of its legs, the ghost flesh parts. Flickers, starts to close. Regeneration. The shadows didn't regenerate. This thing does. 3 minutes of chaos. I cut, it heals. I dodge, it adjusts. I land a deep slash across its torso and the wound seals in seconds, the distorted form knitting itself back together with a sound like wet cloth tearing in reverse. Every hit I take costs more than every hit I land, and it hits harder than anything I've faced, each impact carrying that bone-deep cold amplified tenfold, like being punched by a glacier. I end up on the ground. Ribs broken, I feel the crack, the specific grinding wrongness of bone moving where bone shouldn't. The knife is a meter from my hand. The distorted stands over me, one malformed limb raised for a downward strike that will end this. Minji is screaming. She can't touch it, can't interfere. She's the wrong kind of ghost, present but powerless, forced to watch from 3 meters away as the thing I can't beat prepares to kill me. The chest, she shrieks. There's a crack in the center of its chest where the heart used to be. I can see it. Hit there. I look. Through pain and fading vision, I look at the distorted's torso, and there, partially hidden by the swollen mass of ghostly flesh, a thin line. A fracture in the form, darker than the surrounding material, running vertically down the center of the chest like a scar that never healed because the wound was what killed it in the first place. The limb comes down. I roll. Not fast enough, it clips my leg, and the cold shoots through my thigh like an injection of ice water. But I'm past it. I'm moving. I'm reaching for the knife with fingers that barely close. Contact. Handle in my palm. I lunge, not standing, from the ground, a desperate thrust that puts every ounce of remaining strength behind 15 centimeters of ancient blade aimed at a crack in a dead thing's chest. The knife enters the fracture. The distorted stops. Not defeated, disrupted. Its form shudders, the warped limbs stuttering in place, and for 1 second the monstrous shape collapses inward, and I see what it was before rage rebuilt it. An old man. Small, thin, face creased with confusion and terror. Not a monster, a person, trapped inside armor made of their own fury, screaming behind walls they built without knowing how to tear down. 1 second of clarity, 1 second where the face is human and the eyes are afraid. I flip the knife, blunt side forward, strike the forehead. The flash is brighter than usual, not white, but golden, warm, like sunlight filtered through water. The The distorted form evaporates in layers, the monstrous exterior first, peeling away like burnt paper, then the human shape beneath, dissolving slowly, the old man's face relaxing into something that might be relief before the last of it drifts upward and vanishes. Ghosts, 15/100, physical enhancement, plus 15, classification, distorted unlocked. I lie on the loading dock floor, broken ribs grating with each breath. Blood from a scalp cut running into my left eye, right shoulder swelling, left thigh numb from the cold strike. The ceiling above is industrial exposed beams, broken skylights, the kind of nothing that becomes your whole world when you can't move. Minji is beside me, kneeling, hands hovering over my chest, unable to touch, unable to help, unable to do anything except be present while I bleed on concrete. She doesn't speak for a long time. Hajin, her voice is different, stripped, no sarcasm, no wit, no deflection. This is going to get worse, I know. You could die. Tonight you almost did. If I hadn't seen the crack but you did, next time I might not. Next time there might not be a crack, or I might see it too late, or you might be too broken to reach the knife. Minji, you could stop. Hide. Don't go hunting. Maybe the system. The system kills me in 7 days if I miss a deadline. You know that. She knows. She's known since the first night. The system doesn't negotiate, doesn't pause, doesn't offer mercy for good behavior. One ghost per week, or the owner becomes one. Then at least stop pretending you're okay, she says. You're bleeding from your head, your ribs are broken, and you're lying on a warehouse floor at 1 a.m. Stop performing fine for me. I'm dead. I can handle the truth. I stop performing fine. It hurts more when you let it. The hospital is out, mom works at Severance, and showing up with injuries I can't explain is a conversation I'm not ready for. I settle for a 24-hour clinic near Guro Station, where the doctor on night shift is too tired to question a teenager with cracked ribs who claims he fell downstairs. He tapes me up, gives me painkillers, tells me to rest for 2 weeks. I'll be hunting again in 3 days. Outside the clinic, on a bench, the old woman from the flea market is sitting. She's eating a tangerine, peeling it with the deliberate care of someone who has all the time in the world and finds fruit more interesting than urgency. She doesn't look up when I approach, limping, taped, holding my ribs like they might fall out. For the ribs, she says, and produces a small clay jar from somewhere inside her coat. Unmarked, sealed with wax, warm to the touch despite the night air. What is it? Medicine. What kind? The kind that works. Don't thank me. Don't come looking for me. Use it tonight. She bites a tangerine segment. You fought a distorted. Most first-timers don't survive those. Most first-timers have a choice about fighting them. Nobody who carries the knife has a choice. That's the point. She finishes the tangerine, folds the peel into her pocket, not littering apparently, is a priority even for mysterious old women dispensing supernatural medicine and stands. The next ones will be worse. Build yourself before they build themselves against you. She walks away. Slow, unhurried into a Guro backstreet at 2 a.m. like she does this every night. The ointment works. I apply it at home, smearing the warm paste across my ribs, and within an hour the grinding stops. By morning, the bones have knit. Not healed knit, as in sealed together by something that isn't natural medicine and isn't the system's enhancement and isn't anything I can explain except that the old woman gave it to me and it works. Ribs fixed, shoulder still sore, thigh bruise fading. I'm operational again in 2 days instead of 2 weeks. I don't question it. Questioning things that save my life seems counterproductive when there are 85 ghosts left to exercise. Ghosts 16 through 25 happen over the next 3 weeks. The rhythm tightens Minji scouts, I fight, the system counts, my body grows. Number 17, a distorted in a Mappo subway tunnel, fast and vicious, fought in near darkness with only the knife's faint glow for light. Minji's voice guiding me through turns and drops I couldn't see. One with a chest strike that I located through sound rather than sight. The crack makes a different noise when you're close. A faint whistle, like air through a gap in a window. Number 20, a shadow swarm. 4 weak ghosts occupying the same intersection. Not individually dangerous, but overwhelming in numbers. First time I fought multiple targets simultaneously. Enhancement plus 20 means I'm moving at speeds that would win school athletics competitions by margins that raise questions faster, stronger, more durable than any 17-year-old should be. The 4 went down in 6 minutes. Number 23, another distorted, this one in a hospital basement, ironic given that my mother works 3 floors above. Fought quietly the hardest constraint. Every impact, every knife strike, every ghost scream had to be suppressed because the alternative was explaining to hospital security why a teenager was destroying medical storage at midnight. Each fight teaches. Each enhancement compounds. By Ghost 25, my body is something I don't fully recognize, lean but dense. Reflexes that fire before conscious thought engages, endurance that lets me fight for 30 minutes without slowing. The knife has become an extension of my nervous system, moving where I need it before I decide to move it there. Do-hyun has stopped asking about the gym. He watches me in PE with an expression caught between awe and concern, the specific look of a friend who knows something impossible is happening and is choosing loyalty over interrogation. Whatever it is, he says one afternoon, watching me complete a pull-up set that would embarrass the school's actual athletes. Just be careful. Okay, and eat more. You're burning through calories like a furnace. I can hear your stomach from across the classroom. He's right about that. Enhancement plus 25 means my metabolism runs hot, I eat 3 times what I used to, and still feel hungry. Mom has noticed the grocery bills. She thinks I'm going through a growth spurt. She's technically not wrong. Ghost-25 is exercised on a rooftop in Jongno, near the old palace walls, in the shadow of buildings that have stood for centuries. As the ghost dissolves and the system counter ticks upward, Minji stands at the roof's edge and stares south. There, she says. Can you feel it? I can't feel it. Not the way she does. But standing on this roof in the old district of Seoul where history is layered like sediment, I feel something a hum beneath the city's noise, below the traffic and the subway and the 10 million living heartbeats, a vibration in the frequency that ghosts occupy, too deep for living ears, too persistent to be imagination. All of them, Minji says. Every hostile ghost I've sensed in 2 years, they all point here, this direction, this district. Something old is sitting under this city, and it's been here longer than anything I can feel. How old? Old enough that it's not a ghost anymore. It's become the ground. She turns to me. Her face, usually animated with sarcasm or concern, or the 100 micro-expressions of someone who's been dead for 2 years and refuses to let it make her boring, is completely still. Hajin, whatever is down there, it's not like the things you've been fighting. It's the reason the things you've been fighting exist. The source. The root. 25 down, 75 to go, each one bringing me closer to something that has been waiting under Seoul since before Seoul existed. I grip the knife. The blade glows faint blue in the evening light. Then I guess I better keep getting stronger. Minji almost smiles. Almost. You fight like a slightly above average sack of potatoes now. That's improvement. High praise. Don't let it go to your head. Your head can't afford the weight. The hum continues, beneath everything, patient and old. I'll find it. But not tonight. Tonight I eat convenience store ramyeon and let my bruises heal and pretend for 8 hours that I'm just a 17-year-old with a high metabolism and a busy schedule. 25 down, the easy ones are over. Ghosts 26 through 50 happen in 6 weeks. The system doesn't care about pacing 1 per week, minimum, or die. I stop tracking days and start tracking numbers. The shadows are routine now. I clear them in minutes knife work that's become muscle memory, patterns I read before the ghost finishes its first lunge. Enhancement plus 30, plus 35, plus 40, each increment stacking on the last. My body becoming something that moves faster than thought and hits harder than physics should allow a 17-year-old to manage. I don't get tired during shadow fights anymore. I get bored. That's its own kind of dangerous. The distorted keep me honest. Each one is unique, shaped by whatever specific flavor of rage or grief deformed them. A factory worker crushed by machinery, rebuilt into something with too many arms. A drowning victim whose ghost moves like water, formless and suffocating. A child, that one I don't want to talk about. I exorcised it and sat in the alley afterward for 20 minutes before I could stand. Minji scouts, I fight, the counter climbs. 35, 40, 45. The rhythm becomes a second heartbeat, more reliable than school, more consistent than sleep, the one structure in my life that doesn't bend or negotiate. 50. Ghost number 52 changes the category. Minji finds it in the old Bukchon district, near the Hanok village, where tourists photograph traditional houses and eat overpriced rice cakes. The irony of a 400-year-old ghost haunting a neighborhood preserved for Instagram is not lost on me. This one is old, Minji says, and the way she says old carries weight that recent and angry didn't. Really old. And it's not broken, not twisted. It's intact. The ghost stands in a Hanok courtyard behind a locked gate, visible only to me, a man in Joseon-era armor, standing in a combat stance that hasn't shifted in 4 centuries. Not looping like the shadow on the parking garage, not raging like the distorted, waiting, patient, aware, and ancient. I climb the gate. The moment my feet touch the courtyard stones, the ghost's head turns, smooth, deliberate, tracking me with eyes that have actual focus behind them. The shadows are mindless. The distorted are consumed. This thing has a mind, and it's using it. It draws a sword that isn't their ghost metal, translucent, but edged in a way that tells me it cuts exactly as well as the original did 400 years ago. The fight lasts 20 minutes. Every second of those 20 minutes teaches me something I didn't know about fighting. The ancient warrior is faster than me, not by much, but consistently, the kind of speed that comes from training that lasted decades, not months. His technique is flawless in ways that make my knife work look like what it is: self-taught desperation refined by repetition. He parries my strikes with economy I can't match, redirects my momentum with adjustments so small I barely see them, cuts me twice shallow lines across my forearm and shoulder that sting with a cold deeper than the distorted's hits. Ancient cold, the kind that seeps into your bones and makes you feel like winter lives inside your blood. Minji reads him from above. She's learned to float high during fights, getting a bird's eye view of patterns I can't see from ground level. He resets after every 3-strike combo. There's a gap half a second before the fourth 3-strike combo. Gap. I count 1, 2, 3 there. Half a second where his stance opens as he transitions from offense to neutral. I need something he hasn't seen. 400 years of combat experience means he's seen every sword technique, every knife angle, every historical fighting style that existed in his era, but he hasn't seen the 21st century. I throw a boxing slip. A head movement, chin drops, shoulders roll, weight shifts laterally that has absolutely no place in traditional Korean swordsmanship and therefore exists nowhere in his 400-year combat library. His fourth strike passes over my shoulder as I slip underneath it, and the gap that was half a second becomes a full second of confusion as his pattern breaks against something it wasn't designed to handle. I drive the knife into his chest. Not the crack ancients don't have the same weakness as distorted, but the blade disrupts his form enough that his next recovery is slow, and slow is all I need. I press 3 cuts in rapid succession, each one destabilizing his ghost form further until his sword arm drops and the translucent armor flickers. Blunt side, forehead. The ancient doesn't dissolve like the others. He stands still as the golden light spreads from the point of contact, and for a moment his face is fully clear a soldier, young, tired, carrying the weight of a war that ended centuries before anyone alive today was born. He looks at me, nods once, then the light takes him upward, slowly, like a lantern released into a night sky. Ghosts. 52 over 100 physical enhancement, plus 52. Classification, Ancient unlocked. I sit in the Hanak courtyard, breathing hard, 2 new cuts bleeding sluggishly, and think about a man who spent 400 years standing in a combat stance because nobody came to release him until tonight. Minji descends from her observation height. That was the hardest fight you've had. That was a person. Not a monster, a soldier. They're all persons, Hajin, even the distorted. The monsters are just people who forgot what they looked like. She's right. I know she's right. It doesn't make it easier. The trail has been building for weeks. Every ghost Minji senses, every hostile presence she maps across the city, they all pull in one direction. South-southeast, toward the oldest part of Seoul, where history stacks so deep you can feel it in the pavement. After Ghost 52, she leads me there. Jongno at night is tourist quiet, the Hanak villages and palace walls lit with tasteful spotlights for nobody in particular. Below the tourist layer, the subway, the basements, the infrastructure that modern Seoul built on top of ancient Seoul without asking permission. Minji guides me to a subway entrance near Jongno 3ga station. Not the active entrance, a maintenance access point, locked, unmarked, leading to a section of tunnel that the transit authority closed decades ago when they rerouted the line. Down, she says. It's below. I pick the lock enhancement. Plus 52 means my fingers are strong enough to snap a padlock pin with sustained pressure, which is a skill no school career counselor has ever listed as marketable, and descend. The maintenance tunnel gives way to an older tunnel, which gives way to something that isn't a tunnel at all, a passageway carved from raw stone. Older than the subway, older than the buildings above, older than anything built by any government that currently exists. The temperature drops, not the ghost cold of combat, a deeper chill, ambient and pervasive, as if the air itself has been cold for so long it's forgotten warmth is possible. And then I feel it, not see, feel. A pressure in my chest, behind my eyes, in the frequency where ghost sense operates. Something vast and patient and aware, coiled in the dark below Seoul like a root system beneath a forest not visible from the surface, but holding everything in place through sheer, persistent presence. The passage opens into a chamber, not natural carved, ancient, the walls covered in markings I can't read, surrounding a space that feels less like a room and more like a held breath. In the center, darkness. Not absence of light, active darkness, the kind that pushes back against my phone's flashlight, that seems to have texture and weight and intent. Something is in there. Something that has been in there for a very long time. The system reacts. Detected, ghost number 100. The Nameless 1 class, catastrophic age, 1,100 plus years. Warning, current owner level insufficient, recommendation. Strengthen to level 90 plus before attempting exorcism. Current level 52 insufficient. The system, which has never offered advice, never warned, never done anything except count and threaten, is telling me to leave. I leave. Not because I'm told to, because the darkness in that chamber is looking at me, and what it sees is prey, and the distance between what I am and what it is makes my fight with the ancient warrior look like sparring with a child. Minji is silent on the walk back to the surface. She felt it too, felt it more than I did. Probably, because she exists in the same frequency as the thing down there. We sit on the steps outside the locked maintenance entrance. Yongno, midnight, taxis pass, a couple argues about dinner plans. Normal life, 20 meters above something that has been rotting under this city for a millennium. He's the cause, Minji says. Her voice is flat, drained, the nameless one. Everything, every hostile ghost you've exorcised, every shadow, every distorted, every ancient, they exist because of him. People die near his places of influence and can't move on. His malice infects their spirits, twists them, turns them into the things you fight. He's making ghosts. He's been making ghosts for 1,000 years. A factory of the dead, running non-stop, churning out rage because that's all he has left. She turns to me. Kill him, exorcise him, whatever the knife does, and the source stops. The anchor breaks. Every unresolved spirit in this city gets released. The implication lands before she finishes the sentence. Including you, including me. I stare at the pavement. A taxi stops at the light. Its headlights illuminate the steam rising from a manhole cover, soul breathing warm air into a cold night. If I exorcise the nameless one, you can finally leave. Yes, move on, rest. Whatever comes after, yes, you'll be gone, Ha-Jin. You'll be gone, forever, and I'll be here, without you. Silence. The taxi's light turns green. It drives away. I've been dead for 2 years, Minji says. Quietly, carefully. The way you speak when words are the only tools you have and you need each one to carry its full weight. 2 years between alive and gone, watching the world I can't touch, watching you go to school and eat kimbap and fight things that could kill you, unable to do anything except talk. I'm tired, Ha-Jin. Not of you, of this, of being present without being real. You're real to me, I know. That's what makes it hard. We sit in the silence that follows. Not comfortable, the kind of silence that holds something too heavy for words to carry without breaking. The old woman finds us there. I don't know how she moves through the city, she simply appears, always at transitions, always carrying knowledge she dispenses like medicine. Minimum effective dose, no explanation, take it or leave it. She sits on the step below us, facing away, watching traffic. The knife killed him once, she says. 1,000 years ago, different owner, different hand. A shaman who fought the nameless one in his first century before his roots grew deep. She drove the blade into his skull and thought it was over. It wasn't. She didn't finish the job, sealed him instead of destroying him. The seal held for 9 centuries. Now it's cracking. That's why the ghosts are getting stronger, I say. The seal is failing. The seal failed years ago. You're feeling the acceleration. Every ghost you exorcise weakens his network slightly fewer. Anchored spirits means less accumulated power feeding back to him. But he's been building for 1,000 years. You've been fighting for 3 months. Is it enough? Level 90. The system says I need to be at 90 before I can face him. The system counts bodies. 90 bodies will give you strength. Whether it gives you enough depends on things the system can't measure. She stands, pockets her hands. The first owner fought with technique. You fight with stubbornness. Neither is sufficient alone. Figure out what is. She walks into the Zhongno night. No goodbye, no final wisdom. Just an old woman with a tangerine habit and answers that create more questions. I look at the system counter. 52 over 100. 48 ghosts between me and the nameless one. 48 fights, 48 enhancements, 48 weeks of deadlines and bruises and conversations with a dead girl on rooftops. And at the end, if I survive, Minji leaves. The person who guided me, coached me, kept me sane through 3 months of impossible violence, disappears into whatever peace the dead are owed. I want that for her. I want her to rest. And I want her to stay. And those two things can't both be true. And I don't know what to do with that. Ha-Jin, Minji's voice behind me, soft. Stop thinking about the ending. You haven't earned it yet. She's right. 48 more fights, 48 more weeks. Whatever the ending looks like, it starts with number 53. I grip the knife and head home. The grind becomes the shape of my life. School exists in the gaps between hunts, mornings I attend when my body allows it, classes I sit through while Minji scouts the city for the next target, homework I complete in hospital waiting rooms at 3 a.m., while bruises heal faster than the doctors who treated them would believe possible. Enhancement plus 52 through plus 99 transforms me in stages that stop being subtle around 60 and become alarming around 80. Ghost 60. A distorted the size of a city bus occupying a construction site near Yeongdungpo. The thing has absorbed 3 smaller ghosts over the decades, growing layers of rage like geological strata. It can't fit through doorways, which becomes my strategy. I lure it into the scaffolding framework, where its mass works against it, jamming between steel beams while I cut from angles it can't reach. The crane arm becomes a bridge, the concrete forms become barriers, every element of the construction site repurposed into a weapon by someone who's learned that fights aren't won by strength alone, but by refusing to fight on the enemy's terms. 30 minutes, 12 cuts, one crack in the chest, buried under layers of absorbed ghost matter that I have to carve through like excavation. The blunt side strike takes 3 attempts because the forehead is 3 meters above ground and I have to climb the scaffolding to reach it. 60 over 100. Enhancement ticks upward. My sprint speed has passed anything human. I tested it once on an empty road at 4 a.m. The result made me stop testing, because knowing the number makes it harder to pretend normalcy. Ghost 75 changes the rules. An ancient shaman, 300 years dead, haunting the foundation stones of a temple in Samcheongdong. Unlike the warrior ancient's pure combat, honorable, predictable, this one fights with the mind. The moment I enter its space, the world shifts. Colors invert. The temple walls breathe. My own hands look wrong, fingers too long, skin the wrong shade. Hallucination, mental attack. The shaman's specialty, break your enemy's perception, then kill them while they're fighting shadows. My knife arm swings at things that aren't there. I can feel my body responding to inputs. My brain is fabricating dodging attacks from the wrong direction, striking at illusions while the real threat circles behind me. Minji's voice cuts through. Not because she has any power over the shaman's magic. Not because ghosts cancel each other out. Because her voice is connected to something the shaman can't reach. 20 years of shared memory. The specific frequency of a friend you've known since kindergarten. A channel so deeply worn into my consciousness that no 300-year-old hallucination can override it. Hajin, these aren't your thoughts. Listen to me. You hate math. You've always hated math. You confused it with Korean on your exams 4 times, Hajin. I counted. Remember? 3rd grade, the teacher called your mom. You cried in the bathroom. I brought you a juice box. I remember. The juice box. Apple flavor. Warm from her backpack. She'd carried it all morning because she knew I'd need it eventually. The hallucination cracks. Reality reasserts not all at once, but in pieces. Minji's voice pulling me back to the real like a rope thrown into dark water. The shaman is 3 meters to my left, not behind me. Its actual attack is a compressed wave of spiritual pressure aimed at my chest. I dodge, I cut. 22 minutes of fighting a thing that weaponizes perception, with a dead girl's voice as my only anchor to what's real. Blunt side. Forehead. The shaman dissolves with a sound like wind through empty rooms. 75 over 100. Minji doesn't celebrate this one. She's shaking the ghost equivalent, a tremor in her translucent form. That means the mental attack affected her too. That maintaining a voice in a hurricane of false reality cost her something she won't describe. You okay? I ask. I'm dead. I'm always okay. She's not. But she won't say more, and I've learned which silences to respect. Ghost 88 is the first time I face a group. An ancient general Goryeo dynasty, 700 years, still wearing the ghostly remnants of armor that was already archaic when the Joseon dynasty replaced his kingdom. He doesn't fight alone. 5 distorted flank him lesser ghosts he's somehow commanded, organized into a formation that mirrors the military tactics of an era when cavalry charges decided wars. 6 against 1. In a warehouse district near Incheon Port, at midnight, with no environment advantage except darkness, and the fact that I've been doing this for 4 months and my body has stopped apologizing for what it's become. Enhancement plus 87 means I am no longer meaningfully human in physical terms. I move at speeds that blur. I hit with force that cracks concrete. I take impacts that would pulverize normal bone and convert them into bruises that heal in hours. The knife in my hand has become an extension of something that operates on instinct refined through hundreds of combat encounters. But 6 is 6. Minji coordinates from above. She's perfected the aerial view directions called in real time, a living tactical overlay that processes threat positioning faster than I can track it myself. Left flank closing 2 of them. General is holding center. Right side is open, but it's bait. There's a distorted behind the container stack. I move. Cut. Dodge. The distorted go down one by one each weakened, each struck on the forehead, each dissolving while the remaining press harder. The general watches me dismantle his guard with an expression that might be fury or might be professional assessment impossible to read through 7 centuries of ghostly composure. An hour. The longest fight of my life. When the last distorted dissolves and it's just me and the general, we're both diminished him from the loss of his formation. Me from accumulated damage that even plus 87 can't shrug off entirely. He fights like the warrior from Ghost 52, but refined by 3 additional centuries of existence. Every cut I land, he answers. Every dodge I execute, he anticipates. We trade strikes for 12 minutes in a dialogue of violence that would look, to anyone watching, like 2 people having a conversation in a language made entirely of edges. I win because Minji sees the opening. I can't a microgap in his recovery after a specific thrust pattern, she calls it. I trust it. The knife finds the gap. The general falls. 88/100. Ghosts 90 through 99 are ancients. Each one older than the last, each one carrying centuries of accumulated power, each one a fight that pushes me to the edge of what enhancement plus 90 plus 93 plus 96 can sustain. Number 95 nearly kills me, an ancient monk whose spiritual pressure alone drops me to one knee before the fight begins. I survive because Minji screams directions through a haze of cold and pain that narrows my world to a tunnel knife, target, strike. Basic mechanics, executed when everything else has failed. Number 99 goes down on a Thursday night in Bukan-san at the base of the mountain, under a sky full of stars that don't care about the violence happening beneath them. An ancient priestess, 800 years, the most graceful and most dangerous thing I've ever faced. The fight lasts 45 minutes and ends with me on my knees, knife embedded in her form's chest crack, barely able to lift my arm for the final blunt side strike. I manage, barely. Ghosts, 99/100 physical enhancement, plus 99 1 left. Do-hyun finds me the next morning. I've come to school the first time in 2 weeks because I needed to see something normal before tomorrow. He sits next to me at the back of the classroom. Doesn't speak for a full minute, just looks at me at the person I've become, at the shoulders that don't fit my school jacket anymore, at the hands that have calluses and patterns no school activity explains. Hajin, yeah, I don't care what you're doing, I told you that, I still mean it. He pauses. But I care that you're disappearing. Not physically, you're right here, but you're somewhere else at the same time. You look at walls like you see things behind them. You move like the world is too slow. You're my friend and you're turning into someone I don't recognize. I know, tell me you're okay. I'm okay, Do-hyun, almost done. Done with what? Everything. He doesn't push. He pulls a snack from his bag, chocolate bread, the convenience store kind, and hands me half. I take it. We eat in silence while the teacher lectures about something neither of us is listening to. Normal. Do-hyun is normal. This room is normal. The chocolate bread is normal. And tomorrow, I'm going to descend into a chamber beneath Seoul and fight something that's been dead for 1,000 years. And if I fail, I die. And if I succeed, I lose the one person who understood why any of this mattered. I eat the chocolate bread. It tastes good. I let it taste good. That night, the roof. Our roof, the school rooftop where Minji and I sit between fights. The place that's become the closest thing to a home base that a ghost and a ghost hunter share. I eat kimbap. She watches. Same as always, except nothing is the same, because tomorrow is the last time, and we both know it. Minji, when I exorcise him, you'll leave. Yes, forever. Yes, I'm not ready for that. You don't have to be ready. You have to do it. You're not scared? I'm scared for you. For myself, no. She looks at the city below. The million lights that used to be her world, and now are just scenery she watches through glass she can't break. I'm tired, Hajin. 2 years between alive and gone. Present but not real. Watching but not touching. I want to rest. Properly, finally rest. I put down the kimbap. My appetite is gone. You were a terrible fighter at the beginning, she says. Thanks. Now you're better. A little, a little. Don't die tomorrow. That's my only request. I'll try. Don't try. Do it. You owe me at least 40 more years of being alive and embarrassing yourself at things. I want to leave knowing that's happening somewhere. I laugh. It comes out broken, but it comes out. She smiles, the real one, the one from before the accident, the one I used to see every day at school and never thought to memorize because I assumed it would always be there. I memorize it now. The city hums below us. The nameless one waits beneath it, patient as a root, old as the stone. Tomorrow I go down. Tomorrow the knife finishes what it started 1,000 years ago. Tomorrow Minji leaves. I stay on the roof until the kimbap is cold and the city is dark and the dead girl beside me has run out of things to say but hasn't left yet, because leaving now would mean starting the goodbye, and neither of us is ready for that either. Not yet. One more night of not yet. Tomorrow. The maintenance entrance is still unlocked from my last visit. Same padlock, same broken pin, same descent into tunnels that get older with every meter downward. The modern subway gives way to the older tunnel, which gives way to carved stone, which gives way to something that was ancient when the stone was new. Minji walks beside me. Not floating walking, matching my pace, staying close. She hasn't spoken since we left the school roof. Neither have I. Some descents don't need narration. The temperature drops as we go deeper. Not ghost cold, this is the cold of a place that hasn't known warmth for a millennium, where the air itself has forgotten what sunlight feels like. My breath frosts. Minji doesn't breathe, but the cold affects her too, her translucent form dims slightly, as if even ghost light struggles to exist this far down. The chamber opens ahead. Same carved walls, same ancient markings, same held breath feeling of a space that exists to contain something it can't quite hold anymore. The Nameless One is waiting. He's not hiding. He doesn't need to. He unfolds from the darkness like the darkness has been wearing a shape this entire time and only now decides to show it. Tall, impossibly tall, close to 3 meters. The proportions wrong in ways that have nothing to do with humanity and everything to do with what 1,000 years of concentrated hatred does to form. Robes from an era that died before this city was built, fabric that moves like smoke. A face that isn't a face, a mask of white bone, featureless except for 2 eyes that are less eyes than absences, holes in reality that look at you and see something you don't want identified. Around him, in his shadow, faces move. Dozens of them, the ghosts he's absorbed over centuries, trapped in his mass, their expressions cycling through fear and rage and exhaustion in an endless loop. Each one a person who died near his influence and was consumed instead of released. Another one with the knife. His voice isn't sound. It's pressure behind my eyes, in my teeth, in the space between thoughts. 1,000 years ago, there was another, a shaman, brave, skilled. She drove the blade into my skull and thought it was finished. She didn't finish. I will. She said something similar. He attacks. The first strike comes from nowhere, not from his body, not from his hands. From the space beside me, a wave of cold that hits my left side like a wall of ice and throws me into the carved stone. I feel ribs compress, not break. Enhancement plus 99 keeps them whole. But the impact would have killed me at any level below 70. I recover. He's already somewhere else, not moved, relocated, as if the space between positions doesn't exist for him. Behind me. A second strike, this one aimed at my spine. I spin, block with the knife, the blade catches the cold wave and splits it, the impact traveling through my arm in a shockwave that numbs everything below the elbow. But I'm standing. He's faster than anything I've fought. Not faster in the way the ancients were faster through skill and experience. Faster in the way that physics is fast, the way gravity is fast. He doesn't move through space. He happens in it, appearing where he wasn't, his attacks arriving before his body fully materializes. 3 strikes from the left. I take 2, block 1. Each hit steals heat from my body, not metaphorically, literally. My core temperature is dropping. My muscles are slowing as cold seeps into the fibers. 1 strike from the right. I dodge barely. The cold wave passes so close it frosts the hair on my arm. Teleport. Behind me. The cycle repeats. Minji, from above. He's patterned. 3 left. 1 right. Relocate behind. It's a cycle. He's been doing this for so long it's mechanical. Count it. I count. 3 left dodge, block, take, 1 right dodge, behind spin block, 3 left, 1 right, behind. The cycle is real. 1,000 years of combat have turned the Nameless One into a machine, grinding through the same sequence because rage doesn't innovate, it repeats. He's unimaginably powerful, but he's predictable the way earthquakes are predictable, devastating, and rhythmic. But predictable doesn't mean beatable. I know the pattern now. I still can't counter it. Even anticipating each strike, I'm barely surviving. Each cold wave drains more heat. Each impact numbs more muscle. The knife cuts him when I manage to swing, but the wounds seal instantly, closing before the blade fully exits his form. Minutes pass. 3, 5, 8. I'm being driven deeper into the station, away from the main chamber, into narrower tunnels where the Nameless One's teleportation range compresses. He can still relocate, but the tight spaces limit his options behind me, in front of me, not above or to the sides. Environment. The warrior's lesson, the construction site lesson. Every fight where the space around me became as important as the weapon in my hand. I'm not strong enough to overpower him, but I can make him fight in my corridor instead of his chamber. I lead him deeper. Narrower tunnel, lower ceiling, rails on the ground from the old subway track, pillars every 10 meters. The Nameless One follows because he hasn't had prey in centuries, and the hunger is bigger than tactical thinking. In the tight tunnel, his 3 left 1 right pattern collides with physical obstacles. His cold waves hit pillars and scatter. His teleportation puts him behind me, but the tunnel means behind is a straight line I can predict without Minji's aerial view. I stop retreating, plant my feet, let the next cycle come. 3 left, I dodge the first, block the second, and on the third, instead of taking the hit, I step into it. The cold wave hits my chest and I feel my heartbeat stutter, my vision narrow, my lungs seize. But I'm inside his range now, closer than any previous strike has allowed, and the knife is already moving. I drive the blade into his chest. Not random targeted. The crack Minji saw on the first visit. The fracture in his form, where something essential was broken 1,000 years ago and never healed because healing requires letting go, and the Nameless One has never let go of anything. The blade enters the crack and sinks deeper than it went into any distorted, deeper than physics should allow a 15-centimeter knife to penetrate, as if the crack itself is pulling the weapon inward. The Nameless One screams. The sound isn't audible, it's structural. The tunnel walls crack, the ceiling drops dust, the rails vibrate and sing. My vision whites out from the sheer pressure of 1,000 years of accumulated rage being disrupted at its core. His form destabilizes. The faces trapped in his shadow begin to separate, pulling free like bubbles rising through dark water. Each one lifts away, becoming distinct, individual, a person reclaimed from the mass. Dozens of them, then more, rising through the tunnel ceiling, through the rock, through the layers of modern soul above, freed after centuries of imprisonment. The Nameless One grabs my throat, one hand massive, bone white, cold enough that the skin of my neck burns on contact. His form is collapsing, but he's not finished. 1,000 years of hatred concentrated into one final act of defiance, one last attempt to take something with him before the end. My feet leave the ground. His grip tightens, my vision darkens at the edges. The knife is still in his chest, I can feel the handle, my fingers locked around it, but I can't move my arm to withdraw it because his other hand pins my wrist against the tunnel wall. Hajin Minji. Not from above beside me, right beside me, closer than she's been during any fight. Her translucent face inches from the Nameless One's bone mask, screaming with everything a ghost can muster, which is nothing physical but everything that matters. Now! Flip it! Now! I can't pull the knife out, but I can move my wrist. Barely a centimeter of rotation against his pinning grip, the handle shifting in my palm. I rotate the blade inside the wound. The cutting edge turns. The blunt side faces up toward where his forehead would be if he lowered his head. He won't lower his head, but the knife is inside him, and inside is close enough. I wrench the handle upward with everything I have left, enhancement plus 99, months of impossible fights. A body built through 100 exorcisms, and the blunt side of the blade strikes the interior surface of his form where the crack meets the place his mind lives. From the inside. The flash isn't white. It's gold, deep, warm, the color of sunlight remembered by something that's been underground for a millennium. It erupts from the crack, from the blade, from every fracture in the Nameless One's form, filling the tunnel with light that doesn't illuminate but liberates. The grip on my throat releases. I fall, hit the rails, hit the ground, lie there breathing in light that tastes like the end of something vast and terrible. The Nameless One doesn't dissolve. He breaks, piece by piece, layer by layer, the centuries of accumulated form peeling away like bark from a dead tree. The bone mask cracks down the center, and behind it for one instant, visible through the golden light, is a face, human, young. A man who was a shaman once, before power corrupted and death preserved, and centuries of darkness turned him into a mechanism of hate. He looks afraid. Not angry, afraid. Then the light takes him and he's gone. 1,000 years of presence, ended by 15 centimeters of ancient blade applied from the inside out. The golden light rises, up through the tunnel, through the stone, through the foundations of Jongno, through subway shafts and sewer lines and the roots of trees planted in parks above. It surfaces across Seoul in a wave too subtle for most people to consciously register a brief warmth, a momentary easing of pressure they didn't know they were carrying, a single collective exhale from a city that's been sitting on top of something dark for longer than it's existed. People on the street pause, look up, look around. Something changed. They don't know what. They'll forget by morning. I lie on the subway rails and watch the last traces of gold fade from the tunnel ceiling. The system window appears one final time. Ghosts exercised, 100/100, objective achieved system, Reaper's Ledger. Deactivating weapon, Reaper's Knife deactivated, physical enhancement retained, owner status, free. The blue window dims, the text fades. The constant presence that has occupied the corner of my vision for months, counting, warning, threatening, measuring, goes silent. Gone. The knife in my hand is warm, then cool, then just metal and wood. The glow along the blade edge dies. The carved seal on the handle, the characters I never learned to read, fades to shallow, meaningless grooves in old wood. Just a knife. 3001, flea market purchase. I sit up. Every part of my body hurts in ways that transcend medical terminology. My neck is burned where the Nameless One gripped. My wrist is bruised where he pinned it. My chest still can't fully expand from the cold wave that hit me early in the fight. But I'm alive. The system confirmed it. The tunnel confirmed it. My own continued ability to feel pain confirms it comprehensively. Minji stands at the tunnel's end, near the passage back to the surface. She's different, brighter, more translucent. The edges of her form shimmer in a way they never did before, not the cold flicker of a ghost maintaining its shape, but the warm dissolution of something finally being allowed to let go. She's already leaving. The anchor that held her, the Nameless One's 1,000-year influence, the root system that kept every unresolved spirit trapped in this city, is gone. The weight she described on the rooftop, the pull that kept her present without being alive, has released. She looks at me, same face, same short hair, Same expression of fond exasperation that she's worn for 17 years across 2 states of existence. "You didn't die," she says. "You asked me not to. I asked you to try. You over-delivered. First time for everything." She laughs. The sound is fainter than usual, thinner, as if the air can't quite hold it anymore. She's becoming less solid with each second, the process gentle and irreversible. "Hajin, I know. I need to go. I know." She takes a step toward me. Stops. Her hand reaches out, the gesture of touching someone's face, the kind of motion that means everything when it connects, and means something different when it can't. Her fingers pass through my cheek. No contact, no warmth, just the faintest sensation of something that isn't quite wind. "Live well," she says. "And fix your guard stance. It's still terrible. Minji." She smiles. "The real one. The one I memorized last night on the rooftop, because I knew this moment was coming and I wanted to carry it." The light takes her. Not sudden, gradual, like dawn. Her form brightens, thins, becomes something between presence and memory. The outline of a girl who died at 17 and spent 2 years watching over a friend who needed watching over. She doesn't say goodbye. She says something else, something that might be thank you, or might be I'm sorry, or might be something that doesn't have a word in any language spoken by the living. The sound fades before I can be sure. Then she's gone. The tunnel is empty. The rails are cold. The golden light has faded to normal darkness, illuminated only by my phone's flashlight, which has been on this entire time, pointed at the ceiling, doing nothing useful. I sit in the dark for a while, not counting, not planning, not preparing for the next fight, because there is no next fight, just sitting. Then I pick up the knife, just a knife now, dull and ordinary, and walk toward the surface. I surface at 5 a.m. The maintenance entrance spits me out into a Jongno side street where the early delivery trucks are already running, and a convenience store clerk is sweeping the sidewalk without looking up. The sky is going from black to gray to the specific shade of pre-dawn blue that Seoul does better than anywhere I've ever seen, which is only Seoul, but I'm allowing myself the comparison anyway. I walk home. 40 minutes, Jongno to Mapo, through streets that are waking up shop owners raising metal shutters, grandmothers starting their morning walks, a stray cat watching me from a wall with the focused disinterest that cats have perfected over millennia. No ghosts, not on the corners, not in the alleys, not in the spaces between streetlights where shadows used to congregate. The frequency I learned to sense that specific pitch of wrongness that meant something dead and angry was nearby is silent. Not muted, not dampened, silent. The station has gone off the air. The world looks different without it, smaller and larger at the same time. Smaller because the hidden layer is gone, no translucent figures, no smeared faces, no blue system window tracking my progress and threatening my life. Larger because ordinary Seoul, without the overlay of supernatural violence, turns out to contain more detail than I noticed while I was busy not dying. The trees along the Mapo sidewalk are in full leaf. When did that happen? I've been hunting for 3 months through a season change I completely missed. The air smells like wet pavement and frying eggs from an early bird restaurant. A radio plays trot music through an open kitchen window. An old man does stretches in a park, moving with the slow dedication of someone who plans to live forever and is making arrangements accordingly. Normal. Ordinary. The kind of morning I used to sleepwalk through and now notice because noticing things is what you do when you've spent months in a world where not noticing things gets you killed. Our apartment is dark. Mom's shoes are by the door. She came home from her night shift while I was underground fighting a millennium-old ghost. Her bedroom door is closed. The rice cooker is warm. A note on the fridge. Leftover doenjang jjigae. Eat all of it. You're too thin. Mom. I eat all of it. Standing in the kitchen at 6 a.m. spooning soup directly from the pot because getting a bowl would require opening a cabinet, and that feels like too many steps for a person who was being strangled by darkness 45 minutes ago. The jjigae is good. Not extraordinary. Mom's been making the same recipe for 10 years, but it's warm and it fills the space that cold left in my chest, and it tastes like being alive, which is a flavor I didn't fully appreciate until the alternative became specific and imminent. I shower, hot water, long enough that the mirror fogs completely, and the bathroom fills with steam that feels like the opposite of everything in that tunnel. I look at myself. Not in the mirror is fogged. I look down at my body, the one the system built through 100 fights. Arms that don't match a 17-year-old student. Shoulders that strain the school jacket I haven't worn properly in weeks. Hands calloused in patterns that no school activity, sport, or hobby would produce. Scars, the frost burn on my forearm from Ghost 52, the white lines across my ribs from the Ancient Warrior, the neck burn from the Nameless One's grip, already fading, but visible. This body stays. The system said so. Physical enhancement retained. I'm faster, stronger, more durable than any human I'll meet for the rest of my life. The 100 fights are written into my muscles and reflexes in ways that don't reverse. I put on the school uniform. It's tight in the shoulders and loose in the waist. My proportions have changed enough that the standard issue jacket fits like it was designed for a different species, which, in a sense, it was. School. I arrive on time. First time in 3 months that I've walked through the front gate before the bell, wearing the full uniform, without visible injuries, moving at a normal human pace. The teacher does a genuine double take. 2 students in the front row turn around. A girl I don't know whispers something to her friend. Do-hyun is already at his desk. He sees me enter and his face goes through several emotions in rapid succession: surprise, relief, suspicion, more relief, and finally, the specific expression of a best friend who's been worried for months and is choosing to express it through deliberate casualness. You came to school voluntarily? Yes, without bruises, without bruises. You look. He studies me. Different, but not bad different. Like you slept for once. Something like that. Are you done? Whatever it was? Done. Done with what? Everything. He holds my gaze for a moment. 17 years old, no supernatural abilities, no system, no ghost sight, just a loud, loyal friend who waited through months of unexplained absences and impossible changes without pushing past the boundary I set. That takes its own kind of strength, the kind that doesn't come from exercising ghosts. Good, he says. Because I'm failing math and you owe me tutoring from approximately 3 months of being wherever you were instead of here. You've always been failing math. Yeah, but now I have a moral justification. You abandoned me. I suffered academically. This is your fault. That logic is terrible. That's why I need the tutoring. Class starts. I sit through it. History, then Korean literature, then math, which I've always been bad at. Enhancement plus 99 notwithstanding, because supernatural physical ability doesn't extend to understanding quadratic equations. At lunch, Do-hyun shares his kimbap without being asked. I share my side dishes. We don't talk about where I've been. We talk about a new drama series, about a classmate who apparently started dating someone from the school next door, about the PE teacher who twisted his ankle demonstrating a move he was too old for. Normal conversation, normal lunch. I let it fill the space. After school, I walk to a gym in Hongdae. Not a school gym, a proper boxing gym, the kind with a ring and heavy bags and a coach who watches you move before deciding if you're worth training. The coach is a retired middleweight, thick-necked, mid-40s. He watches me wrap my hands. I do it correctly because 3 months of gripping a knife has taught me everything about protecting my wrists that boxing would have taken years to cover. Experience? He asks. A little. He puts me on the heavy bag. I throw a combination jab, cross, hook with the restraint of someone who knows that full power would knock the bag off its ceiling mount and raise questions I can't answer. Even held back, the impacts are clean, fast, and heavy enough that the coach stops pretending to check his phone and watches directly. A little is modest, he says. I'm a quick learner. Clearly. He walks to the ring. You want to spar? I've got a welterweight coming in at 4 who needs work. I'll never fight ghosts again. The system is gone, the knife is dead, the ability to see things that shouldn't be seen has switched off permanently. But the body that was built for those fights is still here, still humming with 100 enhancements, still carrying reflexes that need somewhere to go. Yeah, I say, I'd like that. The Yunnan flea market on Saturday. Same overpass, same stalls, same energy of organized chaos. I find the spot where the old woman's table was far end, against the pillar. The table is there. The chair is there. The old woman is there, drinking tea from a thermos, in a coat that looks the same as it did 3 months ago. The table is empty. No compass, no mask, no talismans, no knife. She sees me approach and doesn't stop drinking. The knife deactivated, I say. I know. You knew everything from the start. I knew. Who are you? She sips. Considers the question with the unhurried thoughtfulness of someone who has answered it before and found every answer insufficient. A person who sold you a knife for 3,001. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have. She sets down the thermos cap. The knife passes once per generation. When the time comes, it finds the next carrier. The last carrier, the shaman, 1,000 years ago didn't finish. Sealed instead of destroyed. The seal held until it didn't. You finished what she started. That's enough. What now? Now you live. It's harder than it sounds, but you'll manage. You've done harder things. She picks up the thermos. Don't come looking for me again. There's nothing left to find. I stand there for a moment. Then I nod to her, to the empty table, to whatever role she played in the machinery that turned a bored 17-year-old into something the dead should have feared. She doesn't say goodbye. She drinks tea. I leave. Some answers don't come. Some people exist to hand you the knife and watch the result. The in-between isn't their story, it's yours. Evening, the school roof, my roof, our roof. I sit in the spot where Minji and I sat between hunts, the same corner, the same view, the same angle of the city lights as they come on building by building, floor by floor. I brought kimbap, convenience store, same brand, same flavor. The spot beside me is empty. Not ghost empty, the specific emptiness of a place where someone important used to sit. The kind of absence that has its own weight, that presses against the air and says, someone was here, and now they're not. And the space they occupied doesn't belong to anyone else. I eat the kimbap. The city hums below. No ghosts on the corners, no shadows at the intersections, no ancient darkness pulsing beneath the pavement. Just 10 million people going home, cooking dinner, watching TV, arguing about nothing, living lives that have no idea how close the dead once came. I take the knife out of my backpack. Just a knife dull blade, wooden handle, faded seal. It weighs almost nothing. 3001. The cheapest object that ever changed my life. I put it back. I'll keep it. Not as a weapon, as the kind of object you keep, because throwing it away would mean something you're not ready to mean. Phone vibrates. Do-yun. Chicken after school. Monday? I'm paying. I type back, you never pay. Fine. You pay. But I pick the sauce. Deal. I put the phone away. Look at the city. 3 months ago I was invisible. The guy on the group photo nobody could identify. The student with the 2.8 GPA and 0 everything else. Sleepwalking through a life that felt like it was happening to someone else while I watched from a distance. Then I picked up a knife and the dead started showing up, and a girl who'd been gone for 2 years came back to tell me I fought like a sack of potatoes. I killed 100 ghosts, broke a 1,000-year curse, and lost the only person who made the whole thing survivable, not to violence, not to failure, but to peace. She left because the anchor broke and she was finally allowed to rest. And I'm glad for her, and I miss her, and those two things will sit next to each other in my chest for a very long time. Maybe forever, and that's okay. The kimbap is gone. The wind picks up. Below me a bus stops, picks up passengers, moves on. A couple walks a dog that looks nothing like it wants to be walked. A street vendor closes up for the night, folding an umbrella with the efficiency of someone who's done it 10,000 times. Ordinary evening. Ordinary city. Ordinary 17-year-old boy who can bench press a motorcycle and once killed a millennium-old demon with a 3001 flea market knife. I'll go to school tomorrow. I'll fail math. I'll eat Do-yun's kimbap and dodge the PE teacher's questions about how I got fast and start learning to punch things that punch back in a boxing ring instead of a subway tunnel. I'll carry a scar on my neck and a knife in my bag and a memory of a girl who said, "Don't die tomorrow," and meant it so completely that I didn't. Tomorrow is Monday. School. Normal. The kind of normal I used to think was boring and now understand is the entire point. Minji would say something sarcastic right now. Something about my posture, or my grades, or the way I eat kimbap like a raccoon raiding a trash can. I can hear it. Not literally, not ghost hearing, not the system, not any supernatural residue. Just memory, doing what memory does. Keeping the important things close, in a voice that sounds exactly right, saying exactly the words she would have chosen. That's enough, more than enough. The roof is quiet, the city moves below, the night comes on. First ordinary evening in a long time. I let it be ordinary.